A lot of people like to gamble, but some like to gamble way too much. Most people see gambling as a way to have fun. It's their hobby, it's their country club, and for some, it's their retirement. They will lose money, and they're okay with it. They know deep down that the house always wins. But for some, it's a darker story. This is where lives are ruined, bank accounts emptied, and divorces filed, all in the name of winning it back. This video is about the problem gambler. As someone who makes videos that involve casino games, I want to make sure that I do not glorify or encourage problem gambling. I think I've done a good job so far, but others might disagree. I'm sure that some people will think of me as just another symbol on an evil slot machine. For this video, we're going to talk about what happens when you gamble too much. I'll bring up some laws that, in my opinion, should be put in place to prevent problem gambling, and some methods that you can use to reduce your chances of going off the deep end. Ultimately, I want to look at what people like me, who create content that involves gambling, should do to help encourage people to play responsibly. Look, I promise I'll make more content about poker in the future, but playing poker and other skillful forms of gambling are just a little too outside the scope of this video. I'm not saying that poker players are immune to gambling addiction. In fact, I think poker is full of bad influences, including drug users, cheats, and even worse, accountants. But gambling through poker is so much better than any other form of gambling that it warrants its own video, or at the very least, a YouTube short. So for this topic, we will limit gambling to include table games, slots, lottery tickets, pull tabs, horse racing, and throw in sports betting in there, given how the average person bets. Regardless of your views on gambling, I think it's important to recognize the negative consequences that happen when you start putting money on the table. When people gamble, they could have been using that time for something else. And the time you spent playing Gone Fishing, you could have actually gone fishing. You'd be just as broke, but at least you had fun. The more time you spend in a casino, the more you'll feel like you're not doing anything meaningful. Humans are like flowers. In order to grow, we need sunlight, nutrition, and love. All of which are not found inside of a casino.
You think I'm afraid of you, dude?
Another thing that gambling affects is sleep. While visiting Vegas, my friends and I decided that we didn't like having fun anymore, and took a drive down to Laughlin, Nevada. We were incredibly sleepy during the hour-long drive, but as we pulled into town and passed the casino lights, we were filled with energy, not knowing that some casinos just don't like winners.
Come to the Edgewater and Colorado Bell Hotel Casinos. Rooms from just $16 a night, and your second night is free. And get a free breakfast buffet every day of your stay.
The average problem gambler will have over $55,000 worth of debt. Now you may say, how could they make such poor financial decisions? As you casually ignore your student loan balance. The more you gamble, the more your perception on money changes. You won't use your cash as much because that cash could be used to place bets. Okay, this one's kind of a weird one, but the more you gamble, the more selfish you become. Unless if you're playing craps, you don't really care about anyone else around you, and you start to only care about whether or not you're winning. My best example of this is the soft drink station at my local casino. With drink stations, there are social norms. You wait your turn, you give people enough room to do their own thing, and if you bump into someone, you apologize. The drink station at my local casino is war. People are cutting past each other, no eye contact, messes everywhere. When you gamble too much, you become too self-centered. While I've presented these issues in a joking manner, I do want to get serious for a minute. The more people gamble recreationally, the worse it gets. Some people have lost everything. Can it be consumed in moderation? I think that moderation is a good argument, but the problem is that gambling as a product is becoming more addictive and more available. As Drew Gooden put it best,
gambling is not new. For as long as there's been man, there's been the primal desire to bet it all on red. But what is new is the way technology has evolved to prey on these urges in the most efficient and targeted ways possible. These apps didn't invent gambling addiction, they've just made it more accessible.
In this section, I'm going to suggest some laws that I think we should consider in order to prevent problem gambling. Now, I'm not a legal expert. A lot of these laws make no sense from a I want more money for my state to spend perspective. I wouldn't know how to lobby for these suggestions, and if they were easy laws to pass, they probably would have already happened by now. But in my opinion, if casinos and governments actually wanted responsible gambling, they would implement these things. This section also addresses how to avoid problem gambling at an individual level. These aren't a cure-all, and you can still be a problem gambler following these guidelines, but I think these things help keep people balanced. ATMs should be banned from casinos. If you want to gamble, that's fine, but putting a money machine right next to invaders from the planet Moolah is a quick way to put recreational players out to pasture.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
If you want to make sure that you only lose what you bring to the casino, leave the credit and debit cards at home.
Closing time.
I think that casinos should close after 2 a.m. We do this with bars, and yes, I appreciate how many people have different sleep schedules, but if you're picking up your feet for the casino staff to vacuum under the table, it's hard to imagine how you're spending your time normally. Online sports betting should be heavily restricted and maybe even prohibited. Yes, I know Gen Z loves the easy access to sports betting, but I don't think it'll be positive for society in the long run. I'd be more comfortable if you could only do it within restricted hours, and if there were mandatory deposit restrictions, where you as a gambler decide your limits before you can place a bet. Many sportsbooks have these features, so if you're sports betting online, I would highly recommend implementing these systems. Sweepstakes casinos are applied on society, and I'm kind of surprised that they're still legal in most states. I really discourage sweepstakes casinos. Having a sportsbook in your pocket is bad enough. Carrying around a slot machine is just a recipe for ruin. Another thing is that sweepstakes can withhold your winnings for any reason. The house always wins, but the sweepstakes always steal. This one isn't really a law, but for anyone who gambles on anything, you need to keep track. Personally, I would use a spreadsheet to keep track of my bets, but you can do it however you want. Just be sure to follow the IRS's guidelines. When you track everything, it's a lot harder to hide from your losses. Whether you like gambling or not, it's here to stay on YouTube. There are plenty of channels in the space, and I want to investigate what I and others are doing and see if we can improve our videos to help promote responsible gambling. As you can tell by watching this video, I like to make jokes. It ups the entertainment value and makes things more fun on my end, but of course that means I will end up saying some things that are a little unhinged. Are you and your homies busting too much?
Yeah, I guess you could say I gamble for America.
Don't gamble with your rent money. Gamble with your money for child support. My goal with these jokes is not to belittle problem gamblers. When I say things like,
You would be foolish if you think that your self-worth doesn't depend on sports betting.
I think it's pretty clear that I'm being satirical, and I try to make fun of the logic and ideas rather than individuals. But if it's ever unclear, and it just sounds like I'm bullying people who struggle with addiction, feel free to call me out on it. As someone who gambles casually, there is definitely a culture of insults among gamblers. We make fun of each other, and we make fun of ourselves. It's important to understand that this isn't out of meanness, and in reality, it's probably a bit of a coping mechanism. When we say things like, I've been going to the casino every day for 5 years and I'm still not addicted, it makes a $200 loss a bit easier to stomach. Along with this, I may use the word degenerate. At the time of making this video, this word is accepted, it's playful, and it's said in a friendly tone. In 40 years, my grandkids will probably call me a bigot for saying it, but if the word becomes more hateful than endearing, I'll remove it from my vocabulary. Personally, I don't think content creators should have a target audience of 13 to 18-year-olds, but as long as the creators mark that their videos are not made for kids, I don't have a problem with it. You might argue that some gambling content should be 18+, and honestly, I somewhat agree. If I had a 13-year-old cousin and they were watching Vegas Matt, I'd be a little concerned. But if they were watching Stephen Bridges, I would be totally cool with that. Ultimately, I think what minors watch is more of a parent issue than a creator issue. I have trouble blaming creators for not wanting to mark their videos 18+, when YouTube nukes viewership of this content. While my channel isn't big enough yet to accept sponsors, I don't think that I would accept any offers from an in-person casino. Not like they'd want me to advertise for them, but for other creators it makes sense. I think it's okay to accept sponsorships, but I think that you need a lot of disclaimers to make it more ethical. If you just have the generic gamble responsibly thing, I don't think that's enough. Ultimately, any decision for sponsorship comes down to protecting my audience, and me putting my seal of approval on something is very different than YouTube serving an advertisement it thinks that you would like. That pretty much wraps up this video. Normally, I ask for engagement, and don't worry, I will, but I want to make this a little more meaningful. So for every like, dislike, and subscription this video gets, I will donate $1 to the National Council on Problem Gambling, up to $200. These are the 1-800-GAMBLER people, and they have a lot of good resources on their website for problem gamblers. Thank you all for watching, and I'll be sure to give you updates in the next few weeks about the donation in the description and comments. In the meantime, I'll be chilling here doing what I love. Incidentally, what I love is playing copious amounts of video poker. But don't worry about me. I'm not addicted to gambling. I can stop whenever I want. Just not right now.